last time, you guys got through a interesting, and yet, no matter how hard I try, quick fight with a handful of ghouls and a skeleton chasing after a small fairy who has this blondish, almost silvery hair, far more silver than blonde, these kind of pink translucent wings, very pale skin, and kind of pinker eyes. She has this long, needle-like, it would probably be the size of a needle to you guys, that's in her small hand. She's about maybe a foot tall. So she is very tiny, and you, as the bodies finally collapsed to the ground, she had flown up, asked you how you got in, and if you guys had tried to get back out, and saying that she'd been trapped here for 200 years. So she stands, or she floats before you, and she kind of comes closer, and she goes, Please, I must try the door. If you came through, perhaps I can finally get out.
A companion that we had come in with had attempted the door. I believe he found it to be locked.
No.
By quite strong means.
Are you sure? Are you positive?
We can go back and show you. I'd be happy to escort you, and perhaps while we head there, we could give Turvy here some medical attention.
Sorry, I forgot about. I'll turn around and I'll cast a lesser restoration on Turvy.
Okay, so the paralysis fades from Turvy, and as they kind of come out from it, they're shaking a little bit, and they kind of nod at you, and Topsy kind of scoops up Turvy into her arms, and she's like, Thank you, Indigo, thank you so much.
It's the least I could do, and I know. Just you two take these, and I'm gonna hand them each a dagger.
How nice of you!
Just
how very
don't.
nice.
I was gonna do that.
You were very brave, Turvy, but please never do that again. And then I'm gonna step into the room, and I'm gonna begin to give last rites to Eldith.
Okay. So you step into the room. You see the horribly torn apart body of Eldith, and hello, my dog. Sorry, we can edit this out because of her clicky clacky nails on the floor. So you step across and through past this ferry, and you look over the horribly chewed and torn apart body of Eldith. And you start kind of giving her some last rites. You can see also where the roots from your spell had kind of torn through her, ripping her body up even more. And as you do so, this fairy actually just flies out past you all and through the past doorway, heading towards the main door. You just hear her muttering, I have to get out, I have to get out, I have to get out. What are the rest of you doing?
Sephel would have almost immediately, after seeing that this is a library, made his way into the room and scanning to see what the contents of this room are. If it seems to be, memoirs, if it's just regular, storybooks or historical accounts or anything of maybe magical means. He's just very intently looking through the spines of books to see what's in there.
Sure. Sam, what's Lara up to?
Lara's going to escort the fairy to the door.
Okay. So you start heading your way out that way. Let's describe this library to you, Sephel, as you get in there. First off, it's a very large room. It's about 45 feet wide, and you're not quite sure how deep. But you see that there are numerous dusty shelves, you see that there are some crystals about the room growing in various locations. You see that quite a few of the old tomes and books have actually been pulled from the shelves and kind of tossed haphazardly across the floor and places. You see more skeletal bodies that have not risen up to attack you. And a lot of it you see is old, like folk tales and histories and botanical books and lots of kind of general knowledge that seem to all be dated back about 200 plus years ago. Definitely nothing of recent note that you can think of. You also see in a couple of the bare patches of the wall that there are some very large and nice paintings that have these odd features about them. Anything in particular that you're looking for or want to kind of look at deeper?
Yes. I think he's going to find... Obviously, they're all dated from around the same era, but if there are any tomes that look even older, like they were old when this place was in its proper time, anything that might have any kind of magical means, like I almost imagine the most childish Sephel has ever really acted, like getting on the floor, like pulling books that had fallen off of shelves and like looking at them, flipping through, tossing them aside, like looking through pages, seeing if anything is mildly arcane.
Now I imagine that for Indigo, this has to be kind of weird that Sephel, having witnessed Eldith fall in this fight while you're giving last rites, is just kind of running around giddy in this library pulling books out. What's Indigo's thoughts on all that?
I think he definitely checks it. He notes it. I mean, Sephel was very clear about how he felt about the other members of the group and how much he cared if they lived or died. So I can't tell that he would be like fully surprised, but he definitely does clock that Sephel is really like, not only says he doesn't care in like that tough guy way, but like actually doesn't seem to care.
Yeah.
And he's got tentacles.
I should say the reaction isn't so much giddiness, it's like intent desperation to find anything of interest.
Gotcha. It's totally giddiness.
What a nerd.
I mean, it depends what he finds.
Indigo, what do you do as last rites over Eldith Body? Because I'm just curious, considering your domain and stuff like that. What does he do for her?
Yeah, so for Indigo, it's kind of like returning the body to the earth, kind of to Toril. So he's going to remove any like metal elements like off her person, especially like the sword, so she is not laying in state with a weapon of violence. But then he's just going to kind of like his prayers and supplications kind of begin like and accelerate the decaying process. So it like actively begins to like return to a more kind of neutral state. So as I'm doing that, does she have any tokens on her body, like any personal items? I know we're in prison, but does she have anything personal?
Not that you would recognize to be anything specifically personal, but go ahead and make me an investigation check. We'll let the dice help decide.
No, the dice said no. It's a 6.
Yeah, you don't find anything. That there could have been something, but between both the spell and these ghouls tearing apart her body, it could have been lost or eaten. You don't know.
Yeah, I guess when he's like, well, Eldith, thank you so much for helping to protect us, and I'm sorry that we have to leave this part of you behind, but if we get to Blinked Stone and we find your family, I have my sketches of you, and we'll at least be able to, give them a little finality.
Where did you say?
Isn't she from Blingdenstone?
Nope.
Dang. Well, some people are gonna be real fucking confused in Blingdenstone then when I'm showing around a picture.
Who
Have
the
you
fuck
seen
is
this
this
dwarf?
lady?
Who the fuck is this bitch? Who are you talking about? Oh, that'll be funny. I hope you keep
The
that in
dwarves have been dead for 200 years.
Dwarves don't exist. All right. Let's jump over to Lara. So Lara, you see that this fairy is hell bent and just like zooming ahead of you. She seems to know exactly where she's going, and as you're kind of, you see this little fairy get up and she starts like trying to pull on the door handles, and you see they're not even budging, and she tries to like slip between the cracks, but every time she does, she just gets like shoved out by some kind of force. And you see she's starting to like break down. No, 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 how are you? And she turns around, she's like, how were you able to get in? But there's no way out.
We tried to tell you that this we were in the Underdark, and this building appeared in front of us, and we entered not knowing what it was, but we're trying to get out, same as you. Just we thought that this was our escape to come inside.
She flies up to you, and her tiny hands grab your cheeks, and she's just right up in your face, and she's like, you feel real? Are you real? Are you another one of the wandering shades of these halls? I don't know anymore. It's been so long.
You've been here for 200 years. I can promise you that I'm real. And she'll like put her hands over the little fairy's hands. So they're just kind of like sitting on her cheek. We're all real, and we can help you from here, but we need some information from you. You've been here for 200 years. Have you been alone this whole time? And what are these shades?
I don't. I think it's been. I'm pretty sure it's been 200 years. See, I feel like these halls are familiar, even before all this time, but I can't remember why. I feel like for some reason it's close to my heart why I know this place, but I can't. I haven't been able to figure out why, and I see the shadows move. I've seen them move. I've seen lights. I've heard cries in the darkness from somewhere else, but I can't. I've only ever been able to be in the library and in this chamber and then in the large dining hall, but I can't get any farther. One hall was closed off and there was another room, but I saw no point in entering it. I can't. I don't know why. Why am I here? What have I done?
Yeah, shh. It's okay. Just stay with us. We'll find a way out together, and you won't be alone. And then Lara will like start to walk back toward the group, but like not turn around, like seeing if she's gonna follow.
She you see her little form as you start to walk away kind of like sink down to the floor, and she stands there and she just kind of weeps. And as you kind of get back to the door that leads to the west, or I mean to the east, that goes into the hallway, into the library, as you reach that far door, you see she's starting to take slow footsteps towards your direction. And you can just ever so slightly hear her faint sniffles as she begins to follow you.
Okay. I'd like to command Ashni, and I'm just gonna say, Ashni, stay with her. And I'm like pointing and trying to illustrate like stay together. To indicate that like Ashni should stay with the fairy at all times.
Make an animal handling roll for me.
did not think through my stats ahead of time when I decided on this stuff. It's a 17.
Okay, yeah. Surprisingly, Ashni stays behind and seems to have a pretty good idea, and you just see it kind of eyeballing this fairy, and whose name you guys still have not asked. And just kind of watches her, and you see she kind of like grows wary because Ashni is much bigger than her, and she kind of starts to kind of quicken her pace after you, and Ashni's just kind of plodding across the floor, kind of like a Komodo. Have you guys ever seen a Komodo dragon walk?
Yes. Just like the little, like, almost like flipper walking.
Yeah, kind of like its long claws and its body wiggles, kind of like with almost like it's slithering a little bit as it does it. Ashni walks like that. So this very predator reptilian kind of walk to it. Did you just say same?
No, I said sick.
She said sick.
Like,
oh,
sick.
I thought you said same. I was like, I'm trying to picture that you walk.
Yeah,
on
me
all
too.
fours,
Me too, man.
like a lizard.
Yeah.
Yeah, all day, every day.
Well,
has anyone ever told you walk like a monitor lizard, dude?
Yeah, dude.
When we all get back together, like, I'm imagining that as everyone groups up, Lara will try and do an introduction, and she'll just say, I'm Lara, this is Sephel, Indigo, Topsy, Turvy, Stool, and Ashni, who will protect you. What is your name?
I think it's Ethera. I'm not sure. Everything's a little hazy.
Yeah, Sephel, Indigo, she's not really having any memories, although she keeps mentioning a shade, multiple shades, which I think we've already seen.
So Sephel is actually still sifting through books.
Yeah, go ahead and make me an investigation check while you're doing that.
Okay,
we'll take care of that real quick.
I thought you were gonna make me beg.
Yeah, beg for it, bitch.
Please, I just need the knowledge. Okay. Oh, fantastic. That is a 14 total.
So you don't find anything that looks like magical tomes, but go ahead and roll me a history check. Indigo, do you kind of start looking at the books in the walls with the paintings after you've done this rite with Eldith's body?
Indigo will look around after the rites are complete, especially looking around at the room itself and like the paintings and portraits, and then kind of move to the books after that.
Okay. Why don't you go ahead and roll me a history check as well? And now that you have kind of things that kind of help place the time period and stuff, go ahead and do it with advantage.
Cool. That is a 12.
Cheapers. Sephel, what'd you get?
I don't suppose I would have had advantage on that check as well, would I?
No, because of your memory loss, no.
Cool. As you were. Don't worry about it.
One of those.
Mm-hmm.
Indigo, as you're kind of...
I have a maxed intelligence. This is dumb as fuck.
Shit, yeah. Indigo, as you're walking about the room, you kind of come to this northern wall here, and you see that there's a couple paintings. The first, you see what depicts a large valley sitting between, or in this valley, nestled amongst these very tall mountains with snowy peaks and mists. You see in it a large lake and what looks like a very large, ornate-looking castle that stands upon a promontory island in this lake and a small kind of town built within it. And so this makes you think this must be the place. Somehow, this castle was teleported into the Underdark.
Are we... We have no idea where we are. So I don't even know if this is a valid question.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if Indigo is relaying this, or if this is just...
Oh yeah, Indigo is like happy for a distraction from his grief, so he's like, "Wow,
Yeah,
wow, this is
that
the king of
checks.
Mighten Mountain, incredible! Wow, have you guys heard the story?" And he does like the whole 9 yards.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Would there be any way to know if we were even generally in the same geographic location that this castle used to be? Like if it had just fallen through the ground straight down somehow, or if this is nowhere even remotely close?
You would have no idea of knowing. You are
Yeah,
so
I figured as
unfamiliar
such.
with the Underdark that you couldn't tell unless you had some way of burrowing straight up and then somehow figuring out your location on the surface. You wouldn't know.
That's fair.
Indigo, I don't suppose that book mentions anything about a fairy named Ethera.
Well, I haven't opened any books. I'm just looking at the pictures here. Sephel's reading the books though, but no, there's no
Oh.
There's a king, and then there's this kind of like a blob that seems to be purposely defaced, or it's maybe just hard to see. And then there's this nice picture of a castle. I see that your interest has wandered, Laura. That's fine.
Yeah, sure, Indigo.
Indigo.
Yeah.
I was looking through these tomes for selfish reasons, but I did find some botanical logs if you think those will be useful to you. And I'll pick up a couple of the botanical books that I had found while looking for arcane literature.
Okay.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, I'd love to see that.
While a lot of the pages are not greatly intact, you come across one section that's very intriguing to you. It talks about a type of crystal that they found while mining. One that was capable of taking in magical energy and pushing it back out. And they called it an echo crystal. They discovered that whatever magical energies that they would kind of cast upon the crystal would stay within it for a moment before being blasted back outwards. Now, depending on the spell and the enchantment that people tried to use on it, it could have various effects. But the main purpose that they found, or element of this crystal, is that it would contain and release any energies that were brought into it. And they had discovered that they could, in fact, melt it down and reshape it into various forms, whether it be arms, armor, all that kind of stuff.
Awesome. Yeah, I think Indigo will kind of like sit right down and start copying that over into their own book.
Okay.
And I'm assuming you relay this as well?
Yeah, again, you find it very hard to shut Indigo up. He's like, and wow, so these crystals, wow, those are probably the same crystals that are out there. They're called echo crystals. They can melt them down, they can store energy, and then they float out and just...
Yeah, Indigo, that's great. I don't really care about rocks, all right?
Are you sure? This is pretty cool.
Is it relevant? Do you think it's relevant?
I mean, it's hard to tell what's relevant now. It could become relevant at any moment.
Does any of this help us leave?
Oh, no. Well...
Then it's irrelevant.
I mean... Well, okay, so the crystal might be more of a study principle, but I don't know, the stuff about the King Thor, I mean, this is the kingdom that we are now walking around in. Maybe there's clues here to why they're down here, or maybe this could, give us a new framework to understand what we find.
Ethera, I know that you can't remember anything, or perhaps you don't want to, which is okay. But we've been hearing a voice, and this voice has said things like, let them sleep, when in reference to those shades that you've seen. And I think we've just been hearing it crying out, and sadness. Is any of this, does this mean anything to you?
I've heard it as well. I don't know where it comes from. I think somewhere towards the center of the castle, but something about it deep inside, I feel like I can't or shouldn't get closer to it. Go ahead and make me an insight check, all of you.
A humble 9 from Indigo.
Humble 9.
It's an 8 for
A
me.
humble 4.
Okay.
All my good rolls went away at the beginning. God damn.
Yeah, fucking wasted. Yeah. That's what she tells you.
You also spoke of a room that you dared not enter. Is that because you don't want to go further to the center?
Yes, the door's blocked by the rubble. I think it gets closer to the voice, and I don't dare get closer.
I think we need to get closer. Ethera, you don't have to come with us, but I think that's what we need to do.
If the story in these murals is an indication, and if Indigo's memory is to be trusted,
Like a steel trap.
we need to understand why and how entities are trapped within these walls. And then maybe we can find ourselves a way out.
I'm sure you've noticed it as well, but my magic is a bit strange here.
I have not had it directly affected, however. Every time I have accessed my abilities, I have felt a strange pull, as if the area becomes curious of the arcane.
Oh, you mean like the effects described for the Echo Crystal? I'm sure we wouldn't want to know any more about that, though. And he pointedly closes his book.
I don't know if I'm annoyed at your facetiousness or proud. We'll address that later.
Indigo, does that book tell you what we need to do to make it stop?
Nope.
Then it's irrelevant, and Lara's gonna turn around and leave.
DM, while Sephel is very amused and fully content with Lara's assessment of Indigo's knowledge, do we get, based off of all of the descriptions that Indigo gave to us, do we get the feeling that the echo crystals are what's causing the disturbances in our magic, or possibly something else that's more of an effect of the area? Because the crystals seem like you would have to directly put magic into them for them to affect anything, unless we don't understand it properly.
So, considering the pretty detailed description on the Echo Crystal, you think that whatever this prevailing magical force is not connected to it. In fact, you do know what it is. It was told to you by Bupido. It's something that they call the Frez.
Oh, that's right.
It's this odd magical leftover essence from the elves who thousands and thousands of years ago did incredible magics, and somehow the Underdark has just absorbed it, and it still lingers in places. And he told you that they use it actually to build their settlements in, because it protects them from some of the more dangerous natural predators of the Underdark.
Now, that's a curious combination of things, because based off the combination of knowledges we now have, and if I remember correctly, Sephel was the only one that was told directly about the Frez, because I think Bupido brought this up after immediately murdering Sarth, or am I wrong about that timeline?
I'm pretty sure it was beforehand. Before all that.
All right.
Yeah. So it was when you guys came
we
back
would
up
all have that
with Lara
knowledge
from her trip down and discovering the Bahir.
Cool.
So then this.
So with that. Now I'm just thinking, with that combination of knowledge, does that mean that the Frez was already in this area, and the castle just happened to fall into an area with it. So the magic has nothing to do with this castle in particular. It's just sort of a unfortunate coincidence of chaotic arcana.
So, to kind of like help you so you're not scratching your heads too much here. From what Bupito told you, the Ferez is just kind of this overarching, lingering magic that does some weird things, but not necessarily preventing people from entering, not entering. It seemed to only affect more natural kind of wildlife in the Underdark. They kind of tend to steer away from it. What's happening here, like the doors and the skeletons and those kind of things and these ghouls, they seem to potentially be from some other kind of magic, because the echo crystal doesn't bring anybody back from the notes that Indigo has read. You don't know enough about the Frez to necessarily say that it couldn't do this, but something happened to bring this castle here. So it could be something else entirely that's causing some of these other things to occur.
That's such a weird mess of compounding magical effects. Because the Ferez is fucking with our magic. There's something in the castle stopping us from leaving it. And then there's something even bigger that brought the castle here to begin with.
Can we huddle up for a second, Indigo and Sephel? Ethera, just one moment. And I'd like to try and get like a little private huddle in the corner with you both.
Okay.
Hey,
we can pull over to those murals that where Indigo was already kind of showing us. We can just be like alone by the pictures.
I feel as though the mysterious queen lines up rather mysteriously with Ethera, and she certainly doesn't want to go toward the center of the castle. However, if we're to assume that the being in charge of this place is perhaps that king, maybe force is required?
There are many assumptions in that statement. I do not disagree with any of them directly, however, which is concerning. Ethera seems to believe she is connected to this place, which is odd. But a location that is not meant to be here is hard enough to figure out. A displaced castle out of time is more difficult. I agree we should move towards the center. However, we should be cautious. There are things here that don't want us to be even this far.
Yeah, and we don't know necessarily that the force at the center is evil or violent. It may just simply need to be put to rest.
Yeah. I agree with both of those statements. Let's keep moving, and if Ethera wants to come, she can, but...
Well, we are still here together. I am not a fool. I understand that my demeanor and my reactions to the death of a companion are disturbing to some. My goal is exit. And that may be selfish, but I am willing to include those that are useful in that goal. I will do my best to keep you alive. I do not want that doubted. However, I am nervous about our other cargo. Topsy-turvy stool.
What do you...
The ferry.
I mean, I'm sure the ferry hasn't proven herself yet, but I mean, Stool saved her lives, what, 2-3 times? I mean, if anything, he's tier 1.
I'm nervous.
Topsy and Turvy do need to be protected, though, so we just need a little extra care.
I'm nervous that they'll leave us like Bupido did.
Yeah, wasn't that so weird that Sarif would go with Bupido?
Yeah, and he took my stuff.
Close.
He took my staff. It was really kind of offensive. We helped them.
Their goals are irrelevant. We knew Bupido was sketchy. I wouldn't. Sephel wouldn't say sketchy.
Yes,
wow, we're gonna reel back there. Wow. We knew Bupido was untrustworthy. He was a nefarious character, and I am honestly not surprised at his departure. However, Sarth is puzzling as well.
Let's keep an eye on them. And let's try and convince Ethera to come with us to the center of the castle. If she won't, that's fine. But we can attempt.
Sure. And on the bright side, they can't run away now. None of us can leave.
Indigo, you know creatures. Have you ever locked 2 rats in a cage without food for multiple days?
My goodness, no! That's a terrible act of animal cruelty.
I am more afraid to see what happens that they can't leave, rather than that they could. Tread carefully with these characters.
Oh, that means Bupido and Sarf are probably still, in one of these small adjoining rooms. We'll probably run into them sometime.
I hope so. I want my staff.
Yeah. Alright, well, that does relax me. Thank you, Sephel.
Right.
Let us keep moving.
Alright, I'll go talk to Ethera.
As you go back to Ethera, she's just kind of looking into the hallway, and she kind of turns to you and she goes, your friends, the gnomes? That's what they were, yes?
Yeah, Topsy and Turvy.
I told them not to, but they took off towards the main chamber.
What?
The one with the door.
Did they say why?
They said they were just going to double check and make sure the door was actually closed.
Hey, remember last session when we asked if everybody was cool with staying, and Topsy and Turvy were super sketch about it?
Mm-hmm.
This isn't surprising at all.
I will Indigo, Sephel, Topsy and Turvy went back toward the main chamber. I'm gonna see, and she's running and talking.
Well, I suppose that answers that question rather quickly, and he will start to sort of slither his way out of the room.
Oh. Well, Stool, did they say anything to you?
No, they just said that they were gonna go check on the door. I figured I'd, stay here, make sure you guys were okay.
Thank you, Stool. I don't know what we'd do without you. Here, we should catch up with the rest, though.
Okay. I'm still hurting from those thorns. Good job, by the way.
Oh, yeah, sorry about that.
Are they in here at all?
So you run in and you do not see them. However, you do see this far wall, and with this door, these large set of doors, it is ajar.
So they went out the western door.
The western side. From
Now
the main
when-
chamber.
So there's this western side of the main chamber that is ajar.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's a northern door, and that's where all the rubble has fallen. That's blocked
Yes.
off.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So and that northern, the rubble covered door, is where we heard a lot of the voices coming from.
That's what you believe.
Or at least in that
you don't know
direction.
for sure.
Okay.
And you have Ethera's statement to kind of back that up.
Okay.
Why would they leave without us?
I mean, if we analyze this logically, I don't know why we would assume any of these people would stay with us. We've known each other for a handful of days and have no bond other than survival. If they believe their chances are better without us, they would have every reason to leave.
Hmm.
Well, that worries me because they're not very good at fighting. I think they should really be with us.
No, we literally just gave them weapons. I honestly don't think they'll make it past that room.
Well, they're dead weight anyway. We should continue around the side of this northern door the way we were going. I don't think it's... If they wanted to go off on their own, we should let them.
So our options are this door to the west that Topsy and Turvy went through, the rubble-covered door, or
Whatever was up
the hallway out that we were just in, like the hallway between the library and the main chamber. It continues north.
Yes. From what you could tell, yes.
Okay. Do we continue the way we were already going, or do we give chase? Or does anybody think they have the physical prowess to get us past that rubble?
Well, I'm pretty strong, Sephel. I'm pretty sure I could get those rocks moved in a matter of several hours.
I
Yeah,
may
you
actually
take
be
you
able to help you in a very small
quite
way.
a bit of work to get through that, yeah.
So I don't know if this would actually help, but I assume it would be some sort of strength check to move through the rubble. If I use my ability to adjust density, which is my just, not a spell slot, just my regular graviturge feature, I can increase your weight. I can double your weight, which will cut your movement speed, but you have advantage on strength checks.
For how long does that last?
As an action, the target's weight is halved or doubled for up to 1 minute or until my concentration ends.
Okay, so for a minute, and that's not a one-time use per day?
No, it doesn't give a limited usage.
Okay.
It just says it just requires my action. So I would assume if we're doing it passively, this isn't combat based or anything, I would assume every time the minute ends, I could just re-up it.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, if that's what you want to do on Indigo, or if you want to try and do it on the very large stone blocks, sure.
Oh, well that's an interesting idea, because what I could also do is I could half the weight of the rocks. So I could either double your weight and give you advantage on strength checks, or Lara if she has a better strength, but I assume she's a charisma build as well. But whoever has the better strength, I can either give you advantage on those checks if you want to try it, or I can lessen the weight of the rocks, which might make it easier to move them anyway. If this is a direction we want to go, we have other options.
I think this seems like the most straightforward option. If we're heading to the center, we should head north.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I agree. Do we want to maybe rest first? I mean, I know we only woke up a bit ago. Maybe explore a little bit, then rest, and then just through the rock pile does seem like the option that's most likely to bring us face to face with the center of this place. And
you all can rest.
I would rather be rested for that.
I feel fine.
If we are, Sephel will answer. I am also hesitant to run into the belly of the beast, as curious as I am, and with some of my magical ability tapped, at the very least, perhaps we are a bit too hasty to leave a resource of vast knowledge placed right in front of us so hastily. Perhaps knowing what has gone on around us, we take a short time, do some more research, gather more knowledge.
As much as I respect your and Indigo's search for knowledge, my concerns are survival, purely. We've already been attacked twice since being in this location. and I'm eager to leave it as soon as possible.
You make the assumption that knowledge will not directly affect your means of survival.
Yes.
I humbly disagree. I do not mean we take an entire day, simply a short amount of time to make sure we have not left something detrimentally important.
Hey, if you both are feeling tired and like you would like a nap, that's all right. I'll continue to work and I'll start moving these boulders.
Okay.
Great.
And Indigo will lie down.
If we are taking a short rest, I cannot both do research and give you the ability to move the rocks, or at least aid you, because I need to be concentrating the entire time and every minute re-upping that ability. So my thought is, we literally do like a quick sweep, spend an hour, enough time for a short rest in the library, making sure we have all of the resources we need. You know, we didn't miss any key information, a layout of the castle perhaps, or anything that might, now that we have a background knowledge, you know, where we are, who might be here, some more specifics, we do a more precise delve, see if we can find anything else, and then after the short rest is up, move the rocks and go deeper.
Okay. You've reminded me, actually. A deep delve into where we've been is probably a good idea, because we should be thinking about creating maybe some armor or other weapons. And Oshni came out of an egg that was made of this particular material that I think would be very useful to get our hands on.
You son of a bitch. You've been waiting. You've been plotting for 2 weeks about how to make me squirm, you sick fuck.
Hey, look, if you want to stick around and...
No. That's... I think... So... Fuck. I was gonna pull something during the short rest, and now you're pushing the envelope. So... Indigo, did you... Fuck. Indigo. I believe I have exhausted my ability to efficiently look through the resources at hand, but you have been able to find a vast amount of useful knowledge in that library in the short time you were there. Would you mind doing a quick look while I prepare myself and talk over our plan with Lara? And maybe look into these crystals a little deeper.
Oh, wow, yeah, I mean, sure. And Indigo, he would blush, but he's already burgundy. Hey, Stool, do you want to do some research with me?
Yeah, though I don't know if I could really read.
We'll find out. Come on.
We'll find out.
Okay.
Hell yeah.
All right.
Sephel will approach Lara when he feels that they are out of earshot. I think that we were just coming up here to like examine the rubble and look like we're kind of talking game plan.
Okay.
And Sephel is going to, while they're talking, like he's just going to be like arms crossed, looking very like analytical of the area, and he is going to try to speak softly and discreetly. I did not want to cause chaos among the weaker-willed of the group, but our attitudes and our goals are enough aligned. I feel you can handle this knowledge.
Go on.
In the middle of the night, during most of our rests, a strange occurrence happened within my own mind, but that is besides the point. But I was jolted to semi-consciousness, however, immobility. and witnessed as Bupido slaughtered Sarth. He had a weapon, a dagger. He cut Sarth's throat and killed him, and ran off deeper into the castle. I displaced Sarth's body to try to buy some time so that no one would wake up and cause disarray and threaten us further.
You watched Bupido kill Sarth and did nothing?
I was unable to move. I just said that. It was a state of paralysis, and my mind and my body were not in the same place. I am unsure of the circumstance and not proud of it. It was not comfortable and unfavorable.
And so... And she looks back over at the hole in the ground.
You will find Sarth down there.
Can I roll an insight check on... Because Lara's saying a lot of things right now, because she had a conversation with Eldith, if you recall, when we were walking to this doorway, in which Eldith specifically told her to watch out for Sephel.
Mm-hmm.
So she's kind of thinking like, and now Eldith is dead, Sarth's dead, Bupido's missing.
Yeah, go ahead and make an insight check. And
I got a -1 to insight.
Go ahead and... I mean, you're not lying.
Yeah, no, it's not a contest. I mean, in this case, he's being incredibly forthright.
Right.
So it's just whether or not she believes him.
Yeah, go ahead. What's your total for your insight?
I got a 14.
You feel like he's telling you the truth.
If you are at all skeptical, I will remain up here while you go examine Sarth's body. You will see that his neck was slit with a dagger, a weapon that I do not work with. I am not a physical combatant.
You understand why I'm hesitant. I
do.
Good. I will be examining to make sure everything makes sense. But first I'm going to tell Indigo that that's where I'm at.
Very well.
So I'll head on in and do that first. Indigo, I'm hopping down the hole.
I don't know if I could hear you. I'm in the library.
Oh, well, I would have walked over and yelled it.
Why?
I'm gonna get the shell from Ashnee's egg. See if I can do anything with it.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. No, if you need any help, let me know. Do you want me to come over there right now?
No.
Okay. And you see Indigo has a book on Stool's head, and he's reading to him.
Oh my god!
And they're just they're having a great time. There's a book in front of Stool, and he's I imagine puffing out little spores, and it's nope, no, still nothing.
I need someone to actually draw that. That's so cute.
Oh, but you're doing a great job though.
My heart. Lara doesn't give a shit, but Sam thinks it's adorable. Yeah, so I will kind of head on back to the hole in the ground, and I know we used rope previously. I have rope, and so I would just kind of throw all that together and head on down.
If you are nervous about the ability to get down, I'm hesitant to use another spell, but I do technically have Featherfall if that makes it easier.
I think I'm okay. I think I can.
Okay.
I mean, I've got a +2 to acrobatics and a +5 to athletics.
Okay. Just in case, I think Sephel will stand near the hole.
That doesn't make her feel great, but...
Yeah, no, I know. Not right next to the rope, not I killed Mufasa, but no.
What a shame.
He's aware of his situation. He knows he just dropped a very heavy knowledge bomb, and he is aware of how untrustworthy he's aware of the prejudice. So he's not trying to make that more difficult. It's simply he is going to watch her for the first 60 feet so that if she falls within that time, he can hit her with a Featherfall.
Yeah, you start to head on down into the darkness of the cave, to the skeletal Bahir. And as you approach the bottom, you see the horribly broken and mutilated form of Sarith. And that's where we'll leave it this week.
Everybody, this is Sam Conklin. I voice Lara in the Madness Table. We are so delighted to have you here. Thank you so much for listening to our dinky little podcast. We pour our hearts into this, so to have you here is just, it's the world. If you haven't already, we have a Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at The Madness Table. You can also shoot us an email at themadnesstable@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you, love to hear how you're enjoying the show, any questions you have for the characters. We might even shout you out in some future post show notes. So please do so. If you're loving the podcast, we would just adore you if you shared it with a friend. And that's it. So we'll see you in 2 weeks for our next episode when